Welcome to the Global Impact Charity Voices series, a way for you to connect with the charities and causes you care about most.
In episode 3 of our Charity Voices series, we speak with Rise Against Hunger and learn what it's like to address hunger and nutrition needs in 2020. They are still distributing meals while also providing country-specific needs at this time, like short-term grants to purchase local food and empowering communities through sustainable agriculture. Enjoy!
Hi, my name is Lauren Rutledge, and I'm the manager Western Region here at Global Impact. And today I am joined by Moly Fletchal with Rise Against Hunger. Thank you so much, Moly, for joining us today and to share a little bit more about Rise Against Hunger's work. We'd love to get started in just hearing a little bit more about you and Rise Against Hunger as an organization and what kind of drew you to Rise Against Hunger.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren, so much for having me on today. I'm so excited to share a little bit more about Rise Against Hunger and what we do. So Rise Against Hunger is an international hunger relief organization that is growing a global movement to end world hunger by nourishing lives, responding to emergencies, and empowering communities. I joined Rise Against Hunger as the community engagement manager for Chicago's Rise Against Hunger location in January 2020. So it was a very interesting time and nothing like the job description this past year. What really drew me to this organization and to Rise Against Hunger is that before this, I spent some time as a kindergarten teacher in Ethiopia, where my students received meals just like the ones that Rise Against Hunger creates for breakfast and lunch every single day. And so these meals are really important to me. And every time I'm at a meal packaging event, I'm always thinking about those students, and I'm thinking about how they are being nourished by the meals that we are creating. I also was able to spend some time in Malawi and Zambia doing community development work. And there I really saw the importance of sustainable agriculture and training and equipping local farmers. And so I really love that aspect of Rise Against Hunger. And those two things really fuel my passion and excitement for the work that I get to do with Rise Against Hunger.
Yeah, I'm sure. What an incredible experience it sounds like, and how amazing to have the opportunity to be able to transition that into your work here back home. And I'm sure many of us can relate to our jobs totally changing and not being expected over the past few months. And so speaking of COVID and all that, how has that affected Rise Against Hunger's work, and what kind of response have you all been doing?
Yeah, so it has been a very interesting year for Rise Against Hunger. So as countries, worldwide were faced with the detrimental effects of COVID-19, Rise Against Hunger launched our COVID relief and resilience plan in early 2020. And through this plan, we have 3 different interventions where we are working with in-country partners to sustain and pivot to the distribution of food and meals to then instead provide grants and cash-based assistance for local food procurement. And we are also continuing to empower communities by strengthening resilience and capacity for food production through our sustainable agriculture projects. And through our COVID-19 plan, we've responded in 28 different countries and have impacted over 1.3 million people so far.
Wow, that's really great. Very fantastic support from you all. Do you have any stories or examples that you can share from your teammates who are on the ground abroad?
Yeah, so recently in Honduras, we worked with our in-country partner, Central American Relief Efforts, to distribute food procured locally through our intervention number 2 of our response plan. So many of these people in these communities in Honduras, in these rural communities, depend on day-by-day incomes, and the stay-at-home orders and the social distancing have made it extremely challenging to earn an income at this time. So we have worked with our in-country partner to create food baskets, which consist of rice, beans, flour, salt, sugar, and vegetables, and some other things, local commodities as well. And we have so far distributed to over 400 families. Those families were those picked by our in-country partner as those who were looking to have issues with hunger because of losing their jobs or losing that day-to-day income that they have lost during COVID-19. So we're responding in many countries, and we're responding in 28 different countries. So Honduras is just one of the different countries that we're responding in during this time.
Great. And how have you continued your work specifically around hunger and education during these past few months?
Yeah, so I would say that hunger education is really interwoven into every single part of the movement at Rise Against Hunger. So usually at our meal packaging events, we give a little hunger education presentation and we share about what is happening, with food insecurity around the world. But recently, we have had to really expand our resources. We've had to, we've done a lot of virtual events, and we've done, like for World Food Day, we actually put on a live broadcast where we just shared and educated people a little bit more about what is happening with the state of food insecurity, and especially this year. So the UN has actually reported that the number of those going hungry will actually double this year as a result of COVID-19. So it's more critical than ever that people are aware and supporting nonprofits and causes that are related to fighting food insecurity.
So I think a lot of people, when they think Rise Against Hunger, they associate it with your meal kit packing events. So how have you had to change or alter those events over the past few months, and what other new things have you been trying?
Yeah, so like you shared, our meal packaging events are really what we have used in years past to distribute millions of meals to our partners all around the world. So we've really had to pivot and change, as we're used to hosting large groups, large civic and corporate and faith groups to package meals with us. We've really had to change that. We did create a new COVID-19 events layouts where volunteers were spaced, socially distant, 6 feet apart, and we had less people packaging at a time. But we also have really pivoted to create more virtual opportunities. So we've hosted virtual run walks. We have hosted virtual game nights and virtual wine tasting events. I'm really proud of our team for how creative that we have been able, how much we have expanded our portfolio and what we offer. So it's been really fun to just get creative and, think outside the box of our normal meal packaging events to ways that we can still provide meals and provide cash-based assistance and create community empowering projects for our beneficiaries.
That's great. I love hearing about all the innovative and creative ways that you're still finding to connect with your supporters and all that. And I think that's really exciting, and hopefully something we'll continue to take forward with us even after COVID and all that has kind of passed. And so what's one thing about Rise Against Hunger that a lot of people might not know?
Yeah. So you kind of talked about how we're known for our meal packaging events, but we're actually, working to end hunger through many different pathways. So we are empowering communities through our sustainable agriculture projects, where we equip and train local farmers in improved agricultural practices, as well as business skills and market access, so that they can produce and sustain food in their communities. We also respond to sudden and ongoing emergencies by delivering food assistance, medical supplies, water filter, hygiene kits, and really anything that those communities need, we try to obtain for those facing an emergency. So it's not just about our meals. We really try and dig deep at the root causes of hunger. So whether or not it's by a man-made crisis or a disaster or a pandemic, we really try to get the root causes of those and try to end hunger through our four main pathways.
Absolutely. That's so great. And Rise Against Hunger really does such incredible work. Well, I'd love to end today and just hear a little bit from you and what you've personally learned about resiliency over the past few months, especially through the work that Rise Against Hunger is doing or through your own personal experiences.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. So I would say that resilience is really about pushing forward, even in the midst of hardship and in the midst of a lot of no's. I would say, my job is primarily hosting meal packaging events. So I have gotten a lot of no's this past year. The percentage of yeses to no's is very, very small. And so it's just that it's so important right now. And something I have learned that in the midst of hardships, in the midst of hearing so many no's, that we cannot give up because we have to work even harder to meet the needs of those facing hunger all around the world. And so I'm really proud of Rise Against Hunger and how we have been able to pivot with our virtual opportunities, with our smaller meal packaging events, and working with donors to still be able to provide and meet the needs of those facing hunger all around the world.
Absolutely. And, with how troubling everything can seem right now, I do find inspiration every time I hear from organizations like Rise Against Hunger and the really amazing, incredible ways that they are coming to help support those in need and who are suffering from the effects of this pandemic. Well, thank you so much again, Molly, for joining us today. It's really been fabulous having this opportunity to speak with you and learn a little bit more about Rise Against Hunger's response. And we really appreciate it and hope you have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. And we look forward to hopefully getting to work together in the future to help those all around the world. Thank you.
That's all for today's Charity Voices series. Thank you so much for joining. Stay up to date on the work of all of our wonderful charity partners by following Global Impact on Facebook and Twitter and visiting our website, charity.org/give.